The date might not have been set, but it's safe to say all the main political parties are already campaigning ahead of the general election.
Today, Liberal Democrat leader Nick Clegg was in Cambridge, a constituency which saw an impressive victory for his party last time round.
We're delighted to say that Matthew Hudson has taken on the job of being our political correspondent, and he went to meet the man who might soon hold the balance of political power in his hands.
Narrowing opinion polls are putting a spring in the step of Lib Dem leader Nick Clegg. The idea of his party perhaps holding the balance of power after the general election must be a tantalising one. Plenty of kings have visited Cambridge University, so why not a potential kingmaker?
I actually don't see myself as a kingmaker. I don't see David Cameron as a kingmaker. I don't see Gordon Brown as a kingmaker. I see the 40 million odd voters of this country as kingmakers. You're the boss. Voters are the boss. You tell us politicians what you want.
So today it was a question and answer session with students at Trinity Hall College. First-time voters, some at least open to persuasion by all the main parties. And student votes count here. Recent demonstrations against rising university fees pinpoint one potentially key issue.
None of the parties will be taking votes for granted here in Cambridge. It's a wonderfully volatile constituency. The Lib Dems won it in 2005 from Labour, who themselves won it from the Conservatives in 1992, who won it from Labour in a by-election in 1976. And this time around, there's also a joker in the pack, a strong Green candidate in the form of former Friends of the Earth director Tony Juniper.
Tonight, Radiohead singer Tom York provides a little genuine showbiz credibility to the Green campaign with a solo benefit show at the city's Corn Exchange. Queuing for the best views started at 5 a.m.
I love Tom and I support the Green Party, so you know they're both things coming together is an ideal opportunity to support both, really.
I'm not really a major Green Party fan. I mean, I'm not fussed either way, really. It's just about the music.
Tickets for the show have sold out. Green Party supporters will be hoping voters here think the major parties have too. Matthew Hudson, Anglia News in Cambridge.
And you can see more politics tonight on ITV Anglia as the pre-election. Right then, it's just getting up to...
Some more news now from close to home, and a serviceman based at RAF Honington in Suffolk has been killed in Afghanistan.
The airman from 2 Squadron Royal Air Force Regiment died in an explosion in Helmand province. Martin Stew has this report.
It was whilst on patrol in southern Afghanistan that the airman from 2 Squadron Royal Air Force Regiment based out of RAF Honington in Suffolk was killed in an explosion yesterday evening. He was in a vehicle 2.5 miles north of Kandahar Air Base when he was fatally wounded. He's the 264th member of the British military to die in Afghanistan since 2001. The airman's family have been contacted by the MOD, but it's unlikely he'll be named publicly until at least tomorrow. In a statement, a spokesman from the Helmand Task Force said he died doing his duty amongst his fellow airmen. His sacrifice will not be forgotten. Since January, the squadron have been providing security for other troops based at Kandahar Air Base. When we filmed their departure from RAF Honington last month, Flight Lieutenant Frank Dewar explained why their role is so important.
It's vitally important to ensure that the air operations can continue at Kandahar and also to protect the people that actually serve at Kandahar. It's a multinational NATO airfield, so we've got an extremely responsible job for looking after those people.
Less than 24 hours after the fatal explosion in Kandahar, another British serviceman from A Company 4th Battalion, the Rifles, died whilst on foot patrol in Helmand. Neither of their deaths is said to be linked to the NATO-led Operation Mushtarak. Martin Stew, Anglia News, Honington.
An inquest has heard how a lorry driver committed suicide after strangling his girlfriend's daughter. The body of 9-year-old Stacey Lawrence was found in a lorry parked in Northamptonshire last August. Darren Walker's body was found hanged in nearby woodland. The pair had spent the previous day delivering to spa shops across Norfolk. It later emerged that Stacey had been sexually assaulted before she died. Today, the inquest heard how Walker had told Stacey's mother that if he ever did something wrong, he would commit suicide to avoid prison.
Staff working for the Environment Agency in Essex and Hertfordshire have been taking part in an exercise to test the way they respond to flooding. The simulation has been taking place at the Environment Agency's offices in Hatfield. Teams from both counties were put through their paces to make sure they know how to respond to rising rivers and flooding outside of their normal working areas.
Now, the University of East Anglia has rejected accusations that it lost or manipulated scientific research about global warming. The university's climatic research unit has been under fire since hacked emails were leaked on the internet last year. Skeptics claimed that they showed scientists at the unit were manipulating climate data. In a submission to the Commons Science and Technology Committee, the university strongly rejected accusations that it had manipulated or selected figures to exaggerate global warming.
People in a Norfolk village are fighting plans for an electricity substation there, saying it would blight the landscape. More than 40 acres of land at Little Dunham near Swaffham would be affected if Breckland Council gave the go-ahead. It would connect a new offshore wind farm to the national grid. Warwick Energy, the company behind the scheme, says it would plant a new wood to screen the proposed development. Locals, though, say it would spoil the area.
It's absolutely enormous. You know, the scale of this project would make it one of Europe's largest substations. We maintain that this is the wrong site for that. There's other sites that are far more accessible, much closer to main roads and not so close to villages.
Now, while we've all been experiencing the coldest winter for 30 years, spare a thought for some woodland creatures who'd normally be hibernating at this time of year.
Yeah, you can't blame them. The RSPCA Centre at East Winch near King's Lynn is now caring for 98 hedgehogs, and because of the weather, they can't release them back into the wild just yet. Stuart Leiths has more.
You know when you're wondering whether to go outside and you poke your head out the door, but realise it's much too cold. Well, that's exactly how these hedgehogs being cared for at the RSPCA Centre in East Winch near King's Lynn feel at the moment. In fact, the centre now has 98 hedgehogs waiting to be released.
We're waiting until we have at least 3 days of milder weather so they can go back into the wild. If the ground's frozen and the temperature's really low, then they can't find food. So we've got to wait until it warms up so they're able to go out, make a nest for themselves, hibernate if they want to, and find food.
The cost of caring for so many hedgehogs is starting to mount up. The hedgehogs are fed on a mixture of cat food and puppy food, and this is how much they actually eat in a day, and it's costing the centre around £150 a week. One way visitors to the centre can help is by sponsoring a hedgehog. I felt sorry for them, unable to cope with the cold weather, so I thought this one might appreciate being transported away to this photograph I once took of Bondi Beach. Stuart Leiths, Anglia News, East Winch near King's Lynn.
Oh,
At least it is warming up a little bit, anyway. Finally, a new art centre in Suffolk is to be named after the broadcaster and former resident John Peel. The Corn Exchange in Stowmarket is set to be transformed into the John Peel Centre for Creative Arts. The Radio 1 DJ lived nearby until his death 6 years ago. Now the backers are hoping his widow will become the patron.